around the state. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
And I should mention there's a name change, right? So
right.
IU Ventures is what was the IU Research and Technology
Correct. Yeah, we've changed to IU Ventures. I think it really better captures the new mission and the new programs that IU Ventures is now providing to faculty, students, and really trying to engage our alums in a new and different way.
Yeah, and very specifically, you've got three kind of program areas: the Quarry, IU Philanthropic Venture Fund, and this newly formed IU Angel Network.
Correct, right. The Quarry really helps us build a pipeline of opportunities. So working with faculty, students, staff to really think of their idea in a way of, is it a startup, is it a licensing opportunity? Think about the talent needs, think about the funding needs, and help with that. That kind of leads to the Philanthropic Venture Fund that Terry Willie and I were here about a year ago to talk about. We've launched that. We've made almost 15 investments, a number of things across the country, really in startups that have IU DNA, either from the university or with our alums. But as we've talked to people about the Philanthropic Venture Fund, we've heard from a number of folks that they'd really like a chance in some cases to make investments personally, to really be a part of these in a different way. And so that led to us creating the Indiana IU Angel Network.
Yeah, good. Jason's talking about the Angel Network. Again, I think a creative, unique way to approach things.
Yeah, it's given us a really nice opportunity to engage with those alumni from coast to coast who want to be able to participate with IU entrepreneurial efforts, whether they be alumni-based or faculty-based or a commercialization of some IU intellectual property.
Well, and when you look at how many, alums and other IU-connected people and organizations there are, that's a big universe.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's over 700,000 live in IU alums nationwide, and every single person that we've met while we've been out on the road has introduced us to 4 more people, so our network just expands greatly every day.
Yeah, Tony mentioned the IU Philanthropic Venture Fund. A good example, I think, of where, how that works was, I think, this past week or within the last week, of an investment that the fund made in a Boston firm.
Yeah, we invested in a company called Mentor Collective. They had a nice presence on the IU campus, and it was a really energetic IU alum who we engaged with on one of our regional outreach efforts and fell in love with the work that they were doing, improving the lives of students on campuses all across the country. And so it was a nice opportunity for us to partner with Illumina Foundation and Strata here in Indianapolis to help advance that company.
Tony, what does this say about, or how does this fit in with IU's broader really mission and interest in engaging? This goes beyond the state lines, but around the state of Indiana, really broadening that.
I mean,
reach.
it really gives us a chance, another platform for us to really have our alums be a part of what we're doing. So on all of our campuses, with all of these networks, we hope to have these nodes really in some ways around the country where we get our alums who are interested in startups, interested in giving back. Now, hopefully we'll have a group in Boston, California, Boulder, Denver. Now they're going to start connecting, and we're going to find opportunities, hopefully someday, to bring them back to Indiana. That we can. That's a whole different place now than it was 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, and that was my last question. I was going to ask you about that. The investment may be in Boston or California, but there's that.
Our hope is at some point we're able to entice people, and they say, "Wow, there's a lot going on here. There's a real network. There are opportunities. There's space." It's a little more crowded on the other parts. If we can get them back in Indiana and really get them back connected to the university and what's happening here, that's ultimately we'd love to do that.
And I think another great example of that growing ecosystem, tech ecosystem around the state of Indiana, IU Ventures, doing a lot of great things. Tony Armstrong, Jason Whitney, thank you both very much.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. Well, here's what's on tap now in tech news, served up by Sun King. The 1150 Academy recently held a ribbon cutting on the coding school's new downtown Indianapolis headquarters. The $5 million coding academy located near the Indiana State House. President Scott Jones says the academy will also maintain a presence, keep that presence in Fishers. Jones says 1150 is seeing a more than 90% graduation rate, and those graduates, he says, are placed into jobs starting at around $70,000 a year. The Renaissance District in South Bend ready to enter its next phase of a multi-year effort to transform the former Studebaker Corporation site. Kevin Smith, the president and CEO at IQI, says the mixed-use technology campus has secured additional capital for operational and future development as well. And the Indiana Rural School Clinic Network has opened a new rural telehealth clinic, this one in Eastern Green Elementary. The students there will be able to see a doctor or medical provider through secure video conference connectivity. The clinic uses a digital stethoscope and other sensory tools to help the health providers make a diagnosis. And for Tech News 24/7, be sure to check out InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Coming up next, Bruce Kidd, the driving force behind Concerts for a Cause, is in studio to share why he and his organization are on a musical mission to give back to Indiana. There he is in the Inside Indiana Business Social Media Lounge, presented by Star Commercial Banking, Indiana born for Indiana business. Here's what's making news now around Indiana. Well, new this week, the tallest and most notable building in downtown Evansville will soon get a multi-million-dollar facelift. Domo Development has purchased the former Old National Bank headquarters tower downtown. The company plans to turn it into a mixed-use development with restaurants, retail, office space, over 60 apartments, and indoor parking. In all, a cost of between $25 and $30 million. Well, there are mixed signs for the RV industry, which is big business in northern Indiana. The trade association representing the industry suggests that wholesale shipments will drop for the remainder of this year and into 2020. The RV Industry Association's quarterly forecast also shows a decline of about 17% from the same period last year. But the association says, although shipments are trending downward, the RV market remains healthy and robust. Well, since 2016, special concerts by local and national artists have helped to raise some $200,000 for 14 nonprofits to help kids, adults, and families in need. Concerts for a Cause hosts the quarterly live concerts to raise money for charities. And I'm pleased to welcome co-founder Bruce Kidd with a preview of the next concert in a few weeks and also a look at what is next. And Bruce is always welcome to the program.
Thanks, Gary. Pleasure.
This is an interesting model or format. Talk about how it started. You launched in 2016.
Yep.
How did Concerts for a Cause really become a reality?
Well, I was on the board of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, JDRF, and one of my fellow board members and I wanted to put on sort of a thank you event for all of our supporters. They raise a lot of money each year. And we did so and wanted to combine music and this event. And it sold out with 200 people. And it was really fun. And as we were leaving, one of the guests came up and said, you know, I think you have an idea that maybe could be interesting to help other not-for-profits. So Steve Neely and I decided to give it a shot back in 2016. And we did it all. The first year, we did the staging, we did the sound, we did the refreshments, we did everything. And we've grown it in the last 4 years to where it's a pretty big production now at the Lucas Estate. And it's grown a lot.
And the beneficiaries are not the big nonprofits.
No.
You really focus your efforts.
Yeah, I've served on some big not-for-profits that raise a lot of money, and I've also served on some small ones. And the small ones are doing great work in our community, but they have resource issues, and we wanted to help them. Small local not-for-profits that are doing great work in our community. And our donation of $25,000 or $30,000 makes a real difference to them. And so that's what we focused on, and we've been very pleased with the quality of the organizations we've been able to support over the last 4 years, and we've already signed up 4 for next year.
And is a nice, interesting mix of music and charity, if you will. And there are those who attend. They go for the music, but they also like the fact they're supporting something.
There's no question. You know, we're fortunate that we have the Lucas Estate hosting these, which is a fabulous venue. We have terrific local artists that open our shows, and we have national artists that maybe you haven't heard on the radio but are incredibly talented. I tell people all the time, think about John Mayer before he was well known. It's those kind of artists that are coming to play. So it's a quality evening. But at the end of the day, most people come because they want to give back to the community. You've been here as long as I have. And this is a fantastic community for supporting those in need. And we've been just really gratified with the response.
Very quickly, we're about out of time, but talk about your next concert and then also a special concert to mark 5 years.
Yeah, the next event's October 19th. Anybody that wants to find out more information, all you have to do is Google Indie Concerts for a Cause, and you'll find out all about it. October 19th. We have a fantastic singer from the Atlanta area coming to sing. She's Carole King, today's version. And then next year, we'll do 4 more events. Finally, in October is our 5th year anniversary at the Vogue.
Concerts for a Cause, great cause, great effort. Bruce Kidd, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, coming up, we check out what's behind an educational art exhibit created by an IU School of Nursing professor aimed at educating people about menopausal hot flashes. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has details. We'll also talk about virtual reality and IUPU Columbus, the School of Nursing there. Stay with us. Well, awareness can sometimes be the best medicine. An Indiana University professor has a creative approach to build awareness about menopause. An art exhibit. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more. Kylie.
That's right, Gary. Every woman eventually will have to make peace with menopause and likely the hot flashes that come with it. An IU expert believes the condition could benefit from more open dialogue, empathy, and the debunking of myths. Those are just a few goals of the new art exhibit created by Janet Carpenter, Associate Dean for Research and Distinguished Professor at the IU School of Nursing. She joins me now to tell us more about her creation. Thanks for coming to the show.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Kylie.
So professor, artist, kind of an interesting combination. Tell us how you became interested in hot flashes and how that sort of manifested itself into an art exhibit.
So hot flashes affect about 3 out of 4 women. And I was working with breast cancer survivors, and they have a more severe menopause. So I got really interested in the symptom. There wasn't much research on it, so I started doing research on the symptom. And then a few years ago, I got invited by a national group of experts to lead a group writing, kind of summarizing the evidence around what can we do for hot flashes? What can doctors, nurses do to treat hot flashes? So we wrote this really great paper that ended up in one of those dull scientific journals. And I thought, I need to get this information out to women. So during my sabbatical, which is a break from the university, I thought up this art exhibit. And I started by sketching some of my ideas, some of what I know about the science of menopause. And a friend pointed out to me that I was developing an art exhibit. And then it's just kind of taken off from there.
So tell us about the art exhibit. It's called Hot Flashes, cool. What are the pieces like? What do people see when they go to the exhibit?
So it's designed, we've kind of built this as something that people could walk through. And right now it's concept art. So we have a lot of graphics of what the exhibit will look like when it's built full size. One of the pieces is shows where women experience hot flashes on their bodies. So women in different cultures experience hot flashes differently. Women in Bangladesh feel them on the top of their head. Women in Mexico feel them on the back of their neck. And women in the USA and Europe tend to feel them on their chest, to their neck, to their face. So we've used flowers to show blossoming, blooming naturalness of hot flashes. So it's educational in that it shows women that these are experienced differently. There's a lot of individual variation in the symptom, but it also kind of debunks this myth that hot flashes are horrible and terrible and something to be treated, that they're really kind of a normal, natural part of aging as well.
And really unique too, I think there's a little bit of music involved, so different things.
There is, yeah. So the music, we have a little device that women wear on the skin of their chest, and it measures how many hot flashes they have. And so women can wear this during the day and at nighttime, and it gives us a really good recording of how many hot flashes they have, so that when we give women a treatment, we can really see if that treatment has worked. And so we took these waveforms that look a lot like musical waveforms, and one of our professors at IU, Michael Drews, he composed original music from these waveforms. So again, it's another way to show that hot flashes are real and another way for people to experience them. One of the things about the exhibit is it's designed to educate women and men. And so one of the things men struggle with is they don't understand what they are. They've never felt it. You know, they can't really experience it. So I think seeing them visually and then hearing the music is one way for them to hear about it.
So you mentioned some of it's concept art still. The key thing you need is funding. Tell us about that effort to make this a reality.
Yeah, so we've had some funding from one of the pharmaceutical companies to get people's feedback about the concept art and hold viewing events. One of the viewing events that we had was at Indiana Minority Health Fair. And so people were able to walk through the exhibit, and they filled out questionnaires before and after they saw the exhibit. With some of the other funding that we've had, we've actually sat down and had focus groups with people. So we've improved the art. We've made sure it's understandable and that our messages are clear. And we've also gotten feedback about how